Her name was Eila. She lived alone in the highest room of a building that didn't want to be found. Elkin Tower, peeling paint, humming walls, elevators that wheezed like they remembered better days. It stood like a forgotten monument, a place that had once mattered, and now simply didn't. I never understood why she chose it, but Eila wasn't like most people. She said she liked quiet buildings that were good at keeping secrets. There was something about her I could never place. She didn't speak much, and when she did, her voice always felt like it was hiding behind a curtain, soft, like wind slipping through cracked windows. She rarely smiled, but when she did, it felt borrowed, like she'd forgotten how and had to imitate someone else. She had a ritual every night, without fail, at exactly 3:33 a.m. She would step onto her narrow balcony. She'd lean on the cold railing with bare arms, eyes tilted up toward the sky as though it were speaking in a language only she understood. And then she'd whisper. I watched her do it for weeks before I asked why. She didn't look at me when she answered, just kept staring into the moonlight. Because it listens, she said, and one day it'll speak. At the time, I thought it was poetry, maybe loneliness, maybe both. Then came the night I stayed over. I was asleep on her old corduroy couch, the kind that sagged in the middle and smelled faintly of lavender and dust. I woke up with a jolt, not from a nightmare, but from something else, a sound, not loud, not even clear, but wrong. It came from the balcony, like someone was whispering, but backwards. A voice drawn through water, thick and patient, like it had all the time in the world. I sat up. She was already outside, motionless, bathed in silver blue light. Her hair moved slightly in the breeze, but the rest of her didn't, not even when I stepped beside her. I whispered, Eila, did you hear that? Her reply was calm, almost proud. It's learning, she said. It's almost ready to tell me the truth. There was no fear in her voice, but suddenly I felt something pressing down on my chest. Not physically, but in that invisible way dread makes itself known. Like something had just noticed me noticing it. The next morning, I left early. I needed answers. Answers, I think, deep down, I didn't want to find. The leasing office, if you could call it that, was a single line on an old website no one updated. I called. An old man answered. When I mentioned the apartment, there was a long silence. You've been renting it for nearly a year, he said eventually. You're the only one there. My throat tightened. What about Eila, the girl in 8C? Another silence. This one, heavier. My daughter lived in that unit a long time ago. She passed. He hesitated, then added quietly. She used to say the moon talked to her too. I don't remember how I ended the call. I just remember the feeling that the floor beneath me wasn't quite solid anymore. Back in the apartment, I searched everything. There were no signs of her. No shoes, no clothes, no scent on the pillow. Just an old leather journal beneath a loose floorboard. Its pages were mostly empty, except for the last few. Her handwriting, or someone's, trembled across the paper like a warning. The moon remembers. We were part of it once. The world ended long ago, and now we're only echoes. Beneath that, he's waking up. He's almost ready to remember who he is. The date, tomorrow. That night, I returned to the balcony, alone. The wind had changed, colder, still. Even the city noise below felt distant, like it belonged to a different world. I looked up at the moon. It seemed closer than ever before. I whispered, not knowing what I expected. What am I? And then The moon answered, not with words at first, with knowing, and then gently. The last survivor, the last dreamer, this world was your mind trying to survive the end. But now, it said, you're ready to wake up. And just like that, the apartment, the city, the stars, all of it dissolved. When I opened my eyes, I was somewhere else, somewhere wider than thought, deeper than time, and I wasn't alone.